Welcome to Nephew and Uncle Basketball Banter. Uncle David, it's our first show since the ending of that national championship game between Florida and Houston. Just give us your assessment of how that game played out and what transpired, and what are your thoughts on it?
As I moved the computer here, yeah, I was happy that Florida won. I'm a big Calvin Sampson fan, but we talked a little smack after the game about the Big 12 when he was just handed the game, so he acted like a dick. So I will not be rooting for him anymore. But yeah, I was happy that Florida won. Houston gave that game away, so it was kind of poetic justice
Did
because
get
I
a
didn't
shot
think
off in the
they.
last two possessions.
Well, that tournament will be remembered because the best team didn't win, and that's going
Yeah.
to be one of those. And unfortunately, it's a bitter pill to swallow. It's Duke next year has no shot at winning the title. They're not going to nearly have the same team. And now
Now,
Shire's got that on his head, so it'll
yeah,
be another couple of years. So next year, there'll be a second round team coming out.
you lose Knipple to the draft and you lose Proctor to the draft, so obviously you're gonna have a very much different looking team.
Yeah,
Obviously,
Flag's not going to come back.
yeah, I think that's just you're waiting for that to fall now too. But yeah, no, it's watching the game, I couldn't help but think this should be Duke in the championship game against Florida, not Houston. The whole time that just was on my mind. So the game,
It's a bitter pill.
yeah, almost this game was like almost an afterthought in a way. But
Yeah,
you know,
bitter pill.
Clayton, Clayton didn't have a great game by any means, but they were still able to win. If you would have told me he only had 11 points and they still won, I would have said there's no shot at that.
Yeah.
But they were
Well,
able
Duke,
to.
I think Duke would have beat them because I don't think Florida has a great defense, but Houston's offense showed itself again to be negligent, just like it was in the Duke game. They didn't do much in the Duke game either.
Yeah, they shot only 35% from the field. 6 of
Yeah.
25 from three, so they really struggled offensively. I remember you said in our group chat there for the pool there that it looked like in the beginning there like a Butler UConn game from 2011.
Yeah.
That
Oh
so
yeah, that was Butler UConn quality there for a while, which is the worst championship game I've ever seen.
yeah, so you think maybe in the final game some teams have the yips and they alligator arm some things, so as far as their shots go. So it definitely looked like that in the beginning, but wound up being an exciting ending, though.
Yeah.
65-63 Florida winds up. And you have to, now looking, Uncle Dave, at Florida historically, they've won now three national championships in the last 20 years. That's something that they definitely have to consider them
Yeah.
a powerhouse program if you didn't before.
Well, they got to be a little more consistent. They can't disappear now from the scene for
Yes,
another 5 or 6 years.
it's true.
Uh,
Yes.
so they're have won three football and three basketball. Also, the only team to do that. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. But like in between Billy Donovan and up until now, really, you haven't heard much of Florida
No,
basketball. So, yeah.
no, they haven't done a lot, and that's Mike White. I thought would be a great coach for them. But he had a decent run with the little point guard. Was it Ochino or so? But he just did not ever get a deep run. Mike White, by all accounts, should have been more successful, but it's a different world now.
And before we get into the game ones, Uncle Dave, of the NBA here, what was your, we'll transition now into this topic here of the Nuggets firing Mike Malone only with 4 games left in the regular season.
Well, it's you can't fire the players as a coach. You learn that saying pretty young. You can't fire the players, so you're going to fire him. And Adelman, his dad was Rick Adelman, but I mean, I guess they just tuned him out after 8 years. It's the only coach that Joker has ever had in the pros. But at the
Yep,
same time,
winning his coach in Nuggets history.
yeah, at the same time, you know, I guess it just doesn't matter. The GM I thought should have been fired because when you have Joker at the height of his game, which obviously he is, you got to add to that roster.
Well, that was
Um,
my opinion on the matter too. I said Mike Malone. I think with the group he had, he did as good of a job as he could have. I don't think
sure.
that team last year was a championship team by any means. They weren't deep enough. Since they won the championship, they've not been the best team. So
No.
I don't agree with firing him. But a couple weeks ago, though, I don't know if you saw his comments after they had a game where they lost, and he
Yeah, he ripped him.
talked about he's like guys, he's like I don't think I was committed in the film room. He basically called them out. And
Sure.
he's fired then obviously not too long after that. So I think that right there maybe you had like a player revolt there, and that's what led.
Sure. Oh, of course. It's never the player's fault.
But I think you kind of want if you have players that are worth their salt, you want some guys who have the ability to get challenged and then respond. So it's obviously
Yeah, well, there's not much of that going on.
no, it's kind of frustrating. I think he deserved I think to at least finish this season out with this team. So I think
Sure.
fire a coach this late in the year with a playoff. I know they won game one against the Clippers there, which in the beginning, after that first quarter, it looked like they might get blown, but they wound up coming back and
Yeah,
winning.
yeah,
Yep, I mean it's disappointing. I mean, I'm sure he'll get another job at some point along the line because of
yeah.
he did win a good amount. So obviously sad to see though, because I did enjoy watching the Nuggets, and I thought he was, an entertaining coach, I think, as far as like the
Yeah,
press conferences going on the sideline. So,
yeah, son of
uh,
Brendan Malone, the former coach.
yep. And yeah, so Uncle Dave, I guess going around here now with the playoff picture in the NBA, did you have any thoughts on some of these play-in games here? I thought
So I watched every playing game.
Yeah,
It was a lot of fun.
Trey Young made a fool of himself, I thought.
He did, and it's a bad look. I have one of my players is a big time Trey Young fan. I always say to him, I say he never changes his body. His body's exactly the same. His
True.
game hasn't changed.
Yeah.
He did lead the league in assists, so I give him that. He shot 41% this year. Only though that's very voluminous. That team gave away Hunter. They shouldn't have done that. Capella's hurt. Johnson's hurt, so I think they're a better team than that. But the Magic, I thought would beat the Hawks because I think the Magic were a better team. I watched that game first, and they don't have an answer for Bancaro. And without Suggs, I feel bad for the Magic. I think they're a different team with Suggs, but they still had enough to beat the Hawks. Yeah, he did get thrown out of the game. And then basically the next night, Heat culture just ate him up. The Heat just shot the hell out of it. Hero has become a big time player
Yes, yeah.
in Butler's absence, and Bam just does all the little things. Very underrated player.
Yeah, I think Eric
The
Spoelstra, you could make the argument he's been the best coach, I think, in the last 10 years in the NBA.
Yeah, I'd like to see them get a little more consistent. I think that's a home potentially for Kevin Durant in the future. If I was Pat Riley,
That'd
I'd
be
feel him
great.
out.
That'd be a great fit, I think.
I'd
Yeah.
feel him out and see if he's interested in not being a bitch or not, and find out. The Bulls then, lost to the Heat. The Bulls quit in the middle of this game. A couple of these playing games were awful. I thought the Kings quit, and I thought the Bulls quit. Billy Donovan seems to be above it there. I wish they'd fire him so he'd get back into college.
That'd be great, I think.
But five years there, he's had one time where he wasn't in the playing game. That's not good enough. I know the roster right now is pretty low. Kobe White is a nice player. They have some other good young players. They have Giddy, obviously, but that Bulls experience has not worked out with
You're
him.
kind of in that no man's land, though. You're good enough where you're not a cellar dweller, but you're not
Yeah,
an elite team, though. So
yeah,
you're in a situation where if you can't attract a big time free agent, you might want to consider blowing the thing up
yeah,
and starting over.
yeah. And then the Warriors beat the Grizz in a great
Oh,
game.
that was a
Poorly
great game. That
officiated.
was a great game. That was a fun game to watch, that Warriors game.
Poorly officiated. It's amazing that you could be 48 and 34 and be in a play-in game, which is kind of crazy.
Incredible. Yeah, you think you
Uh,
automatically are a playoff team at that record,
like I
right?
said, the Mavs just slapped the Kings around. The Kings quit, and the Kings have a good roster. That's a weird team. People like to say they're in purgatory. I disagree. They got three really good players on that roster.
You got
There's
DeRozan
obviously
and
some,
Levine. Yeah.
yeah, and you got Sabonis. There's
Yeah.
obviously something else going on there.
Yep.
The fact that Fox wanted to get out of there lets you know something's up.
Yep.
Just 2 years ago, they were selling out the building for their first home playoff game, and it was exciting. They played the Warriors tight. So that was a little weird. And then the Hawks, like I said, they lost to the Heat, and then the Grizz beat the hell out of the Mavs. The Mavs, I was happy, won a game. I'm not saying that the trade for Luka is necessarily right, but if they had a full complement of guards, I still think that team could do something.
I think
You
for a
don't have,
free agent, though, if you're a good free agent, that's an interesting place to play because
yeah,
you have
yeah,
Anthony Davis and Kyrie, and you'll have Clay. So I mean, I think you'll be able to
sure,
attract some good guys there, and
sure,
and if they're all healthy
sure.
next year, they definitely will be a playoff team.
And then just some fun. It's just some fun options in the offseason for a guy like Durant. You see that
Yeah, I mean, Matt, I think Dallas would be a great place. I think for him there.
the the Suns fire their third coach in
Yeah,
three
come
years.
on,
Two
Mike.
of them have an NBA
You
title.
can't even blame Mike Budenholzer for that. That's just an
No,
impossible
so like
situation.
I said, Mike Budenholzer is getting paid. He gets 4 million, I think, for 4 more years.
Yeah, why
As
not?
I
Don't
as I
feel
said
bad for
on
him,
the
folks. Don't feel
Yeah.
bad.
No, as I said on the NBA website, I said for all you casuals out there who told me how good the Suns were going to be for 2 years, I told
I
you there's
know.
one ball and they're all one dribble pull up guys, all three of them.
Right.
So one ball and they didn't even Grayson Allen was there, the Jones was there. They still didn't get any better out of those guys. It's just something wrong there. So
Well, I
obviously
think
it's
kind of
obviously the
it's
coach's fault.
this one incident here where Mike Budenholzer, he went to Bradley Beal and he's like, I need you to play more like a Drew Holiday, and Bradley
Yeah,
Beal flipped out. It's like, no, we need you to be able to be able to lock in and be a defender for us here. So
yeah. Well,
just goes to
Bradley
show you
Beal's not
guys
Drew
don't.
Holiday.
Oh my God, I
Drew
know.
Drew
Yeah,
Holiday's the glue guy. Drew Holiday's first class all the way. He's like Dennis Johnson.
he is. That's
He reminds
exactly
me of
that's
him.
exactly the comp right there, right?
And he's probably more talented, a little bigger. But I love Drew. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA because he does all the little things. And
Incredible though
he's
on a team with Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal. They don't even make the playoffs. It's just incredible to
yeah,
think.
yeah. Well, it's I guess Budenholzer is awful, and so is
Frank
coach
Vogel.
before him, Folk Vogel, and Monty Williams, and all
Yep.
kinds of people. And it's funny. 3 or 4 years ago, they're up 2-0 on the Bucks, and they gave that series away. They sent DeAndre Ayton pack, and all he did was get 20-9 or 18-9 every night. But they bitched at him because it wasn't enough. You lost to Giannis, and obviously the Bucks, superhuman performance out of the two guard, and you blew that series. But I guess DeAndre Ayton was the Antichrist. You send him packing, and now look what they are. DeAndre Ayton's a good player. You can't find guys like that in the NBA. Is he Wilt Chamberlain? No, but he was
No,
an 18-9 guy.
right.
He was young enough. I don't
Yep,
even
big
know what
strong
the hell he's
body.
doing now.
Yeah, I
Yep,
know.
and you
Yep.
don't even know what he's doing now. But yesterday's games were pretty good games. The Knicks Pistons game was a lot of fun. You could
That
feel the
was
energy, and you could feel the
21-0 run
energy
for
in
the
the
Knicks.
garden.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you can feel the energy through the building, even though I'm
You're
not at
watching
the
on the
game.
TV, right?
This is such a big advantage series for Cat, though. Duran is a good player, but he's not physically able to handle Cat. So Cat could erase his previous playoff struggles, and they've been some big struggles. He's got a really bad history, but this is a series where he can right the wrongs. The thing that scares me about the Pistons is they really outplayed him for 42 minutes. And
And
they're,
they
they're
shot and they shot incredible in the first half. So you think there's no
yeah,
way Tobias had 17 in the first half. You're
yeah.
like, there's no way you're thinking that's happening again, right?
Well, it's funny though. You see they have 7 turnovers in the fourth, and you just wonder how long they're going to be that young for. And it's not unusual. We've seen young teams even go back to the '80s Pistons when they were young. The '80s, you know, Pistons, the '80s Bulls, the '90s Bulls. They all go through it. Today you don't go through it as much because there's a lot more hopping around. But the Pistons were going to have a bad moment. I thought that Bickerstaff, who I love, did a bad job with using his timeouts in that 21-0 run.
Yes.
I think he kind of let that game just get away, and I think you got to fight to the death and not let it get away. But so it's a 21-0 run. Haven't seen that before. The athleticism, though, of the Pistons, they will be heard from in this series, and I would not be surprised because Jalen Brunson, again, did a great job down the stretch. But again, volume shooting. They did a good job on Cade, so they won the game. That game was much better than the Bucks Pacers game. The Bucks Pacers game was not a good game.
No Damian Lillard in that game though, too.
No
So yeah,
Damian Lillard blood clot issues. Hopefully he comes back. He was talking to he was
Tyrese Halliburton.
talking smack to Halliburton.
Yeah, would like to see him
Giannis
get
had
in
Giannis had 36
36.
yesterday,
Yeah,
and the
incredible
other
game.
starters had 14 total.
Right, that's a problem.
Holy crap, that's an amazing stat. I don't think I've ever heard that in my life, but I love the way the Pacers play. To me, the Pacers play the way a faster version of that 2011 Mavericks team. Same coach, Rick Carlisle. He calls it flow, and there's very few rules in his flow. And you know what? Now you got to have intelligent players to do it, and they've all bought in, but they don't have that true superstar. But I love Turner. I love Siakam. They have real pros on that team. Halliburton plays great. The kid Nesmith played really good, and the kid that played great yesterday was Nemhard. Had a great game. He really took over that game yesterday. But they have a lot of nice pieces. I'm not sure who the guy is when the game comes down to the end, but I'll tell
Right.
you what, that team is dangerous. This is the type of team that I hate to see, like when they do come up short eventually, maybe they do in this conference, that they break that thing up and try to go at a star because that team is perfect the way it is. It
That's
just needs
another
some
kind of
time.
Kevin Durant. You might want to consider Indiana. I think that's a
Yeah,
group.
but that team reminds me of the Cavs. You got to let them just gel now. The Cavs
Right.
don't have a
Right.
real. Donovan Mitchell's not a superstar, despite what everybody wants to say.
Yes.
He's just not. So let that team develop for the last 2 summers. They've been talking about the Cavs, how the two guards couldn't play together and the
Yeah,
two
you just
bigs
got to
couldn't
give it a
play
little
together.
bit. Give it some time.
Exactly.
Look where they are now.
You,
Yep.
you got to give that team a chance. They always threaten to break up the Mavericks. You got to let them do it over time. They eventually won a title. The Nuggets Clipper game, the Clippers will rue this game. They gave this game away right before halftime. The Clippers were kicking the crap out of the Nuggets, and then James Harden has to go out with his third foul. And all of a sudden, it's like a 9-0 run before the half. And after that, it was never the same again. I will say Kawhi Leonard did not look good down the stretch of this game. I think him
Well, he
and
started
James
off
Harden,
great though. In the first half,
yep,
he was incredible.
him
Yeah.
and him and James Harden didn't look like they knew who was supposed to take turns. I think that was a problem for him yesterday. I still think they're going to win that series, though. The Clips gave away that game, and Russell Westbrook does some bonehead things, but Russell Westbrook
Can't
plays
question
his
his
ass
heart, though.
off,
Yep, you can't question
plays
his
hard
heart.
every day of his life, so you can laugh about him all you want. But Russell Westbrook is tough. The worst game of the day is that Lakers game. That game last night,
Oh,
I'm so happy to see. I was very wrong about this. I was very wrong. I thought that the Lakers' lack of defense wouldn't be affected so much in this series because I didn't feel like the Wolves could shoot it enough. But Jesus Lord, they came out last night. Daniels shot the hell out of it.
yeah, McDaniels was 11 of 13.
And I tell you what, I was really wrong about this game. I thought
And
the
Nas Reed
Lakers,
had 23. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the Lakers got the crap kicked out of them. Just incredible.
I
Of
think
course, in the press
defensively,
conference, well,
when you
the
have Doncic and LeBron on the floor at the same time defensively, I think there's just a problem there, I think.
yeah, but we kept thinking like, well, Randall's not a great shooter. I mean, Edwards, you'd still rather have Edwards take a jump shot because he's too good getting to the basket. So you say to yourself, well, maybe this lack of defense, you could just use space and length and just stay in front. But Jesus Lord, I mean, they looked awful. I mean, you're giving it up on the board, but the Wolves just beat the crap out of them physically, and the Wolves shot the hell out of it. So let's
Yeah,
be
they were
honest. But
50% from three, 21 of 42. So if you're the Lakers, you're hoping just they don't shoot
yeah,
like
I
that
was
again.
expecting like a Laker 5 point win before the game, but I'm all for it. I mean, Luka and Moran don't play D, but I thought this would be the one series where they could get away with it.
Right. Yeah,
And
Luka
I
had an
thought,
incredible game. Doncic
yeah,
was really good.
I thought maybe the Lakers could beat the Warriors because the Warriors are small like them. And I thought that maybe they could beat the Wolves. I thought those are the best two matchups for them, but here we are. They're down 1-0. But again, I've seen so many 1-0 series where a team up 1-0 loses the next four. So we've all seen this a lot.
Yes.
The games today,
The thing is,
the
though, the
Heat.
pressure on this Lakers team, though, is if you have to win that game too, though, now you have to win that game. You
Oh
can't go
God,
down
yeah.
0-2 going to Minnesota.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Uh the games today, the Heat and the Cavs should be fun. I know this is going to sound really stupid, but I've seen in my life a lot of 4-1 series that were pretty close. I'm feeling a Heat Cavs and maybe even a Celtics Magic 4-1 close series. Now I know you say, well, how can that be? Well,
Well,
they're going to
Indiana,
lose a
remember
bunch of
last
close
year with
games.
the Indiana with the Celtics last year. Indiana was in a lot of those games, and
Yeah.
they wound up
And
losing.
just like the Heat,
Yep.
the Heat had the Celtics by the balls. People forget it's 1-1.
Yes.
But again, like the Heat will hang around because they're tough. I just think that the Cavs will have a lot of pressure on them today, obviously. But the Heat are going to have so much fatigue from Friday night. So you think the Cavs would jump on them today. Cavs depth and the pressure now. Our man Kenny Atkinson, still the best dribble lecturer we've ever seen in basketball history, is coaching. And then the Celtics and the Magic. The Magic have interesting dynamic in this series. The Magic are the worst 3 point shooting team in the playoffs, but they're also the best defensive 3 point shooting
Right.
allowed team. So this
Yeah,
is
it's
going to be
interesting.
fascinating. I wish Suggs was there. I think you could get a series if Suggs was
Paul
there.
Pierce was talking about not playing Jaylen Brown in this series. I don't know about all that.
I think you got to be careful with that
Yeah.
because I didn't see Horford playing a lot either down the stretch, so maybe he's banged up too. I don't think he could
Right.
handle both of those guys being out. I know you got Pritchard and you got Hauser, but Brown is Scottie Pippen with a better jump shot, so he's a guy that he just does so much you can't even quantify it. He's just such an underrated player. People, yeah, I guess, because he doesn't act like an asshole and he's quiet. But the funny thing I wanted to mention too, if you look, the best players in the league are not playing in prime time. The NBA schedule makers are still hanging on to Bron and Steph. Both their games are in prime time.
Yes. Yes.
So even though they're not the best players in the league
Right.
anymore, they're
Right.
still obviously in the
Eyeballs
league
again.
office's
Yep.
mind. They
Yep.
still think it's eyeball time. So we'll have to see. Joker's obviously the best player, and Gilchrist Alexander's playing as we speak. But I think that the Magic can give a good close series. Suggs and Banchero, they don't have an answer for.
Yeah.
Tatum hasn't
Pablo's
met.
a player. Yeah.
Yeah, Tatum hasn't met a guy like Banchero yet, so he's a
And
little
for
too
what it's
strong
worth,
for
the
him.
Magic in the series between the Celtics and the regular season, 2-1 versus them. So they
Yes,
won two out of
yes,
the three.
yes. OKC Memphis. I'm not sleeping on this one. Everybody's saying OKC is going to blow them out, and I hope
Yeah.
they do. But I think Memphis is a live animal here. Jackson is a freaking beast.
Underrated home court advantage too.
He's one of the most underrated players in the world, Jackson, I think.
Yeah.
The depth of 10 guys is great for OKC, but in the playoffs, that depth, you're only going to play eight. So I
Yeah.
think that the
Exactly.
depth can be overrated.
Could be. Yep.
Plus the way they space out these games is criminal. They're spacing it out to help out the guys like LeBron, who would be shot if you did it the old way, where you had to do it every other day. By the way, in the late 80s NBA Finals games, so sometimes you play back-to-back days. It's just insane.
Incredible. I know it's
So
incredible.
it's just crazy. I think the series could be closer than it looks, and I'm hoping for that. It's better basketball for us. But like I said, I think Shea deserves MVP, even though Luca put up historical numbers, because I've always put a premise on winning. I know Luca had the best year, but to me, winning is important. So if we're gonna put it on winning, then 67 wins
Yes, and
should
pretty
get something
right
for
there.
that.
But a number one.
Even though Luca broke a record this year, never seen a guy be in the top three in assists, rebounds, and points in the same
That's
league.
incredible. I mean, yeah, if you gave it to
That's
either one of them, I'd be all right with it, honestly.
and I've told you on this program, people can talk about LeBron, people can talk about Steph. The real freak is what Luke is doing.
Yeah.
But I know he's this guy who looks like he's in the beer league. He's not a
Kind of
hyper.
overweight. Yep.
He's
Kind
kind of overweight, but this is the freak. There's never been a center like him
of,
ever,
yep.
ever.
Yes.
So this guy is the freak. He's the real freak. So like, I know we all love Steph and we love LeBron, but this guy's the real deal.
Yeah.
This guy, I'll take him over either one of those two guys because this guy, there's no way to guard this guy. And he benefits from playing in a league without a great low post player, so he doesn't have to play defense.
How about that fast break he had, Uncle Dave, when he stole the pass and he laid it in on the other end too? I think
Very intelligent player.
it was Bob
I,
Myers said it's the slowest fast break ever, but he's
yeah,
still
it's IQ
bucket.
off the chart.
Yep.
The series I'm most looking forward to watching, though, is Houston Golden State. I think Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green are going to have a brawl at some point.
Yes.
And if you're Dylan Brooks, I think you try to get in a
Yeah,
brawl with
absolutely.
Draymond because
Yeah.
if they both get thrown out,
Jimmy
it
Butler
benefits
might
the
be in on that as
Rockets.
well. Jimmy Butler might be in on that as
Yeah,
well.
it benefits the Rockets if
Gotta
those
muck it
two
up.
guys get
Yeah,
thrown
to
out.
muck it up. Yeah, muck it up.
So if they get in a fight, I think that Golden State loses more because Draymond's clearly, like, I don't know, Kayvon Looney must be in the doghouse. Kuminga obviously is not playing at all. The big kid Post can shoot it, but I just don't know if they have enough boards for Houston. And if Udoka didn't win Coach Yeagus Atkinson, I guess, but if Udoka is not one of the best coaches on the planet, I don't know what the hell we're looking at. I mean, look, I'm sorry. This team has three guys in their third year. Okay, they got Van Fleet, who's a volume shooter. You got Sagan leading off the board. I mean, they got this team is no business being the number two best
No, he's
record
an
in the
incredible
in the
coach.
West.
Well, he was a great coach with the Celtics, Uncle Dave, until he
He
got
was,
traded. He
and
was
then he had a
fantastic.
consensual affair with the person who's married like himself.
I
What the
know.
hell is this?
Right. Not
You could have
saying
had
it's
two.
moral, folks, but it's not
No,
deserving of getting
yeah,
fired.
you could have had two titles in a row right now if you're Boston. I mean,
I
I
mean, you've
love
been coaching long enough, Uncle Dave. I'm sure you know of or know great coaches that maybe, you know
oh
what, they
sure,
catch things.
most of them are a little off the beaten path, but that's all
Right.
right.
Like Jim
But
Valvano, who we love, definitely was
yeah,
shady
so
character.
I think the boards are going to be the big thing in this series. Like I said, I guess the Warriors, that just there's something wrong with. Obviously, they don't like Kuminga there. I think he could help them on
Well,
the
with
backboard in this
with with
series.
with Butler being there, I think that has made an adjustment as far as how they use their
Sure,
rotations now. So I think that, but
sure.
you worry though in a playoff series like this, maybe you need him, and then mentally he's not there if you go to him. So it's
Well, the key for
frustrating.
Butler is when Steph goes out now, they have a guy that can run their offense.
Well,
So
that's a big thing now. You can have a guy who can get you a bucket late in the shot clock too. So that really helps the
yeah, so like you get that guy. So now if you really want to rest Steph, and you play him
yeah,
37, 38 minutes, you could do it now.
yeah,
The bad news for Joker yesterday is again the Nuggets minutes without Joker are not good. Again, they struggled with that yesterday, but
yes,
Butler does a lot of creating. He's like the hockey assist guy. He does most of his shooting from 18 feet in, but he does draw double teams and starts to swing the ball. I don't know why people are off Curry when he starts to swing the ball. When he starts swinging, I've already got a guy in Curry. He doesn't leave.
yes.
So, but again, this is going to be a fascinating series. It's going to be a blast. Really looking forward to it. This has been,
No,
I've,
playoff
I've watched,
basketball, it's
I've,
fantastic.
I've watched every playoff game so far. Now, the first two nights, like I said, a couple of bad playing games. I was disappointed in the effort of the Kings. I thought that the Bulls would get their ass kicked, but the Kings have a good roster. Very disappointed in their effort. That was really shocking for me. But because I thought the Kings, definitely had three good players to play with, and DeRozan, I think, is still an excellent player. So obviously, there's
Yeah, they looked
something
like they were a
missing.
little too much in cruise control in that game. I agree.
Yeah, now the problem is that Zach Levine's contract is really it's an
Yeah,
albatross around
you
their
might not be
neck.
able to keep him, right? Yeah.
But so yeah, it's been fun so far. Been a big blast. I mean, It's I just don't like the spacing. They should have the same spacing for all these games, a day in between.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like the favoritism. I know they're doing it for TV, but how about the integrity of the game? I'm sure people would watch no matter what time you put it on.
Yep. Well,
So
the
to
TNT and ABC, they sell it that you have a game on every night for 40 days. So that's basically what they're keeping that.
Yeah, but I think if you did it every other day, you'd at least have a game on for the first 20 days every night.
Yes. Yes. You
The bed, but of course, once you get to the second round, the third round, you're gonna miss a night, but it's just what's fair. So, like again, you watch down the stretch, the Lakers have already don't have to play till Tuesday. That's just so favoritism to LeBron.
Yeah.
I
One of
mean,
my
they do
biggest pet
that.
peeves too is that they'll start the second series before the first series is over between all the teams. I think
Yeah, and that's not right.
no second round game should start until everybody's completed in the first round.
The NBA and the NFL and everybody else fails to understand that absence does make the heart grow fonder. If you just kill it, you kill the golden goose like the NCAA is doing with the goddamn transfer portal.
Oh God.
You eventually kill the golden goose. You can kill it. And the NBA during a regular season is a dead product.
It is. They got to figure
But
that out
postseason,
long term. Yep. Postseason's
that
still
pissed
there, though. Yep.
that Piston Nick game yesterday though,
Ah,
that
it was
was like
great.
that was old 90s, 80s
Yeah.
basketball where you're allowed to commit assault.
Yeah, that was
It
great.
was it was so much fun to
That
watch.
was great.
I mean, James Harden and the Nugget game looked like he was in shock. Like, how can I not get these calls? I was like, dude, this is the postseason now.
I
Shut
know
up.
exactly right. Yep. Yep. All that
Uh,
leading in on jump shots and everything. You get
oh
a
yeah,
less of those. Yep. The refs. Well, that's
but
one thing I love about NBA playoff basketball too is the refs
yeah,
swap
but
wasn't
the
swap.
one thing that makes me angry watching these playoffs though is how the Denver GM did not go get this guy a backup center or another wing. I mean,
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
Lord,
Yeah.
that
The
just makes
problem
me
is when
so angry.
Jokic goes out, that's a major problem for them. Is where they find scoring. How about
Like
also
seriously.
Jeff Van Gundy wrestling the ball with Jokic?
Yeah, but what about inquiring about Jimmy Butler if you're the fucking
Oh my
Nuggets? I mean,
God.
excuse my French. Why not just float it out there? Maybe you don't want to deal with it, but you go, hey, Jimmy, what do you think?
Right.
Like, all right, you give up Brown and you give up some young guys, and the Heat were going to take anything at that point. But how about a phone call
Right.
just to say? But even
That
not a
would be
guy of that
such a great fit. Yep. That would
yeah,
be a
you don't
great fit.
you don't even need a guy of that caliber. I'm just giving him as an example. But at the
Right.
deadline, like you did a good job at Westbrook, but go get one more wing or guard of the KCP type, and then go get a backup center.
Uncle Dave,
Go
Dwight
get
Howard, how do you not give him a call?
I know. And how do you not give him a
10
call?
minutes. 10
And how
minutes.
do you not try to get the big guy off the freaking Knicks, Robinson, who the Knicks are just he's
Right.
kind of like sitting there wasting away.
Right. Right.
Or like call Kaminga.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, like maybe they don't want to deal with you in conference. I get
Right.
it.
Right.
I mean, who knows? Maybe they made the calls, but you got to get this done. I'm sorry.
Or Uncle
This,
Dave, how about a dying team like the Suns? Inquire about Beal, maybe. Something like
oh,
that.
yeah. I mean, just say, hey, do you want to come here and be a part of this or not?
Right. And it's a championship caliber team that we have here.
Yeah.
So, yep.
So if you come in, you be quiet, you take your medicine, and you do what you're told. Are you in? Maybe they did that. We don't know.
Right. They could have. Yeah.
But the last 2 weeks, all I do is listen to NBA radio. So I'm locked in on all these rumors and stuff. But the bottom line is, like you gotta make those calls. You gotta
Yeah.
get somebody. You got this guy in his prime right now.
Yeah.
How
No,
much
it's so
longer can this
frustrating.
guy play at this rate? The shape he's
Exactly.
in.
Yeah. It's so true. Yeah. It's a big body to lug around. I know he
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean
do fast,
he's
but
like Babe Ruth that way. I mean you gotta get another title. I was thinking the other day, and you weren't alive yet, but this is reminding me of like the 70s. We're gonna get like one title of a team like every for like a 10-year period, I think, here until we get that next dynasty that comes along.
right.
And today, as your brother always says, it's hard to get the dynasties because they're free agents. So your only really way you do it is through the draft.
Yes.
And so since Murray doesn't seem to be able to hold up his end with Joker, and the Warriors obviously were a dynasty through the draft, and they kind of have starting to age
Free
out
agent
as we
here and
speak.
there. Right. Yep.
But I don't know where that next one's coming from. I guess maybe OKC could do it.
I was talking
Uh,
about it the other day with Connor too. I said that the Nuggets are a very attractive team to go with because Jokic is a very unselfish player.
yep,
You know you're going to
yep, you're
win.
gonna get yours.
And especially if you're a wing player, you know that he's not gonna step on your feet at all. So I think it's an
No,
attractive. Again,
and
if
he's
you're
gonna
a
he's
guy,
gonna
if,
drop 10 dimes a game.
again, Uncle Dave, if you're a guy like Kevin Durant, why don't you just take a haircut and a pay cut and you fucking say, "Hey, I'm going to go with the Nuggets next year." Something like that would be
Tell you
fantastic.
what, I want him on Orlando or the Nugs or the Heat. That's where I want him.
Yeah, those are three great spots. I wouldn't be mad
And
at
and then again, though, supposedly he was a little bit of a dick down the stretch here with the Suns, so I'm a little bit down on him right now. but I'm willing to give him one more chance.
Right, right. He
So, like, if
knows he
he's
needs
a
another title in another destination, not Golden State. He knows he needs
yeah, but
something.
just
Like,
go somewhere and be quiet.
yeah,
Like the Magic are a score away from
they
being
are.
a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, we're talking like an NBA Finals.
I mean, you
Yeah,
got Wagner and Bancaro. If you could keep Suggs healthy, get me
right.
another guard, and then add another piece, we're talking.
Yep, Cole Anthony off the bench looks good. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you could. This team is going to be around for a while, and the
yep.
Cavs aren't going anywhere. The
Nope.
Celtics are going to be good for a while. The Knicks are going to be good for at least another year or two. I mean, this is going to be.
Yeah. No,
It's
it's
going to be
exciting.
rough.
Yeah. No, it definitely will be.
This
Yeah.
is why the Hawks just totally blew it. And remember we talked about this 4 years ago when they beat the Knicks. We always talk about these teams that ascend too soon. That was the Hawks.
Yes.
And since that time when they ascended too soon, look at them. Now the fans are so down on them. And I guess rightfully so to some extent. But this is a team when you ascend that soon, it's a killer for the coach. The coach is no longer there. This is what happens. And you overachieved as a coach. And what people fail to realize that the coach does realize is when you sit in the press conference after a win or a loss, your faults are your faults and your good points are your good points, whether you won or lost, and no one sees that.
Yes.
So you're sitting there right now, and if you're Minnesota, he's thinking, geez, we shot the hell out of it. I'm still nervous for game two against the Lakers. And if you're the Nuggets, you're thinking, yeah, we pulled that one out, but let's be honest, the Clips outplayed us,
Right.
and we're going to have a problem. And if you're the Knicks, you're saying we were losing for 42 minutes. So even though you won the game and the media is all happy, you're still who you exactly were, whether you won or lost. It's just like I said, it's the old quote from Friday Night Lights.
Not much
The only
difference
difference
between winning and losing. Yep. Just how
is
the outside world treats you.
is
Yep.
how they
That's a
see you.
great
Yeah.
quote.
So
That's a great quote.
it's to me, it's my favorite sports quote.
It is
And to
great.
me, like your problems are your problems, but only the coach goes home and doesn't sleep even after the win. So
Yes.
it just doesn't matter.
No, because you have to, even
So
if you're the Nuggets and you won that game, you have to now do that three more times. That's difficult to do.
exactly. I'm rooting for the Nuggets hard. I still think
Yes,
the
I would
Clips
love
are
to
going to
see
get them
them.
though.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, but Batum is still shooting the ball.
Yeah, he had an incredible shot yesterday, right? It was incredible.
He had
Got
two of
hand
them
in
at
his
the
face.
clock.
Yeah, just incredible.
He's still a good player. I mean, he's a poor man's Boris Diaw, but he's good.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, he is. Yeah,
I
he's been
love
around
that
for a
guy.
long time.
I can't believe the Knicks aren't putting in is the big boy off the bench. The Knicks picked up what's his face from the Bucks there. Well, he helped the Bucks get a title, and then he was on the Heat last year. What the hell's his name? Heat, the
PJ
Bucks.
Tucker, PJ Tucker.
TJ Tucker. I thought he'd get in that game yesterday because he can offer you 6 fouls.
Right, right. And
And PJ knows
he
how to
can hit a
play.
corner shot too, right? He's not gonna
Yeah,
do
I
anything.
was surprised. I was surprised he didn't get in when they got in a little foul trouble. Very surprised.
Right.
But that's a series, though. All these series have so much more fun because now you game plan. See, in the pros, there's no time to game plan. Whereas in college, you're playing 2.5, 3 games a week. In the pros, you're playing four.
Well, that's the
So now
thing.
you get,
These guys start to get a little more of an edge to them and a little more nasty. You
yeah,
had
and
a
the
situation
coaches do
too.
too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I said, you Jeff Van Gundy wrestling the ball with Jokic was hysterical. I
Yeah, of
thought.
course. I'm not letting him get it.
But you had also like Malik Beasley, like he fouls Jalen Brunson hard when the game is clearly over at the end.
Yeah, he
That
just
guy.
sending a message.
Yep, exactly. So it's
But
fun to watch that because and then really coaching really comes into play here in strategy. I think when
oh yeah, it's the best.
it really is.
Changes from that's what I tell you.
You
I
get
can
the
remember
best of
so
each.
many series,
Yeah,
good or bad, where 1-0 turned to loss 4-1. My
yeah,
Lakers. We beat the Houston Rockets in 86 in game one and then lost the next four.
great. Yeah, yeah. It just goes to show you that the margin of error in a lot of these games, it comes down to basically, I think it was Bob Myers who was saying it in the Nuggets Clippers game, that it just, the fourth quarter, who outplays who in the fourth quarter? Because many
Yeah.
times you're not up enough where if you get thoroughly outplayed in the fourth quarter, that you'll win that game.
Yeah, that's just such an exciting time of year right now. I
It is.
almost hate when the first round ends because to me, the first round in the NBA is like
Have
the
a March
first
Madness
weekend.
still do it a little bit, a little bit of
Yeah, the first Thursday, Friday of March Madness, and to me, in the first round of the NBA, the same thing because this just I want more teams. But then again, those Saturday, Sunday games in March Madness, the first round, the first weekend are nuts. They're so good.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great time of year because you go right from March Madness and the Final Four into right into NBA playoff time. So it is extremely fun, and the weather's getting nice here.
We have to have our fan base out there has to tell us any topics we need for the off season. I guess I want to get on my homework. I
Yeah,
take notes every
no,
day on these games.
I'll definitely inquire what people want to hear, and I definitely have some ideas of my own. I think
Yeah, I got some really good ideas myself, but I'm looking forward to like going over some of the those painful drafts over the years.
yeah, I think that
And
I think we could also do something where we review Final Fours of, previous years, watch
sure,
those games on
sure,
YouTube and the championship,
sure.
break
Well,
those.
it's funny you say that. I was this morning. I watched the '82 Sixers Lakers game one. It was
Dramatic.
so awesome. It's on there. And then last night when I couldn't sleep, I watched 1991 Duke Kansas final.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. On YouTube, you could just pull those full games up. It's incredible. God bless whoever up.
Bob Hurley throwing that ball in the 10th row until Grant
Yeah,
went and
yeah,
took it.
no, it's incredible. Yeah, was just watching highlights the other day of '85 Villanova Georgetown.
Oh my God, what a great game.
Remember where you were on that one?
I was in Dave Johnson's house in the living room. I Harold Jensen, I remember Villanova missed 6 shots the whole night. But if there's a shot clock, I doubt they'd win.
Right.
But they went 22 for 28, I believe, from the floor.
Incredible.
And Georgetown still could have won the game.
That's what Patrick
That's how
said. He says we turned the ball over and everything, and we still should have won. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how good they were. But the funny thing was that's the last one without a shot clock. So
6 is when you have a shot clock. I have to
yeah,
say.
so it's but there's so many good games, so many good topics to do. Like all decade teams, stuff like that.
Oh
You
yeah.
gotta have rules and stuff. But and then the NBA Summer League starts, which I'm the only moron in America watching that. That's
We'll
my
do the
favorite.
summer league. We'll do I think all time six mans like that kind of lists. We'll do our top 10
And the
favorite.
draft. I'm looking forward to the draft this year too.
Yes.
Really looking forward to see where Cooper goes and where Con Knipple goes. And I think Malawach is probably going to declare also, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I know Proctor and Knipple I've heard, so those are the only two that I definitely have, but you're just kind of waiting on those other guys now to declare. It's such a shame you have a team that's really that good and that close, then next year a whole new nucleus. It's a damn
Well,
shame.
they're gonna suffer. They're gonna suffer in the portal because they kept winning. It's funny that and that list came out the other day of the 10 schools that have 10 million in the portal right now. Duke is one of them.
Right.
Duke, Louisville, and Carolina, the only three in the ACC. Texas Tech is in there. Uh, you know,
Well, that's the
Michigan
thing now.
spent.
College basketball now, Uncle Dave. It's almost like NBA free agency. You have that much movement now, more so than
Well, BYU. People forget BYU is religiously affiliated and they're spending the money.
BYU. The Mormons. They're like, we want to win, damn it.
Well, people don't forget. People forget that in the '80s they were national champs in football. They never got to the Final Four. Danny Ainge had them close.
Yeah, and they were expanding
But
with Jimmy Fredette. That was a good BYU
but
run.
that was a good team too. But they're going to spend the money.
It was a shame because I thought BYU did play good against Alabama, but Bama just shot the shit out of it that night. They
Oh,
had a,
Bama shot that 25 threes is nuts.
yeah. We like I
Oh,
said, me, Connor, and my mother, we saw history be made in the NCAA tournament there. 25 made 3-point shots. Incredible.
yeah, you'll never see that. I mean, maybe actually I shouldn't say that these days, but
Right.
uh, but it's crazy. Supposedly, Lewis from St. John's is visiting Auburn this weekend,
That would be,
so that's a big one. I can't believe you leave Patino. How do you think he got that good guy?
I know. Player of the year in the Big
Rick,
East.
Rick Pitino develops players. That's his reputation. I mean, do you think he get that good with anybody else? Look at freaking Clayton.
This has
Kid
been one
didn't get recruited.
yeah, this has been one of
Clayton hardly ever got recruited.
yeah, this is one of the themes of our show. I think, like you said, it's going to be so interesting to see that a lot of these coaches that are still around, like Calipari and Patino, they've talked about it not having freshmen on their team. I think they mean that. I don't think they're just saying that. I think that
No,
really,
they mean it.
yeah. And
Well,
it's gonna,
don't forget, Patino never goes and gets the he never gets the 5-star guy anyway, except for Mashburn.
no, I think
He always gets
we went over that a couple of shows ago, and it is mind-boggling how few NBA guys he's really had, or guys that were just there for a cup of coffee and didn't really develop into anything.
yeah, well, he likes to go for the guys. He likes to play 8 or 9 deep, and so I think that doesn't lend itself to maybe the top kids. He likes to press up and down, play that 1-2-2 and full court man, and he goes for it.
That, if anything, makes him even a better coach in my eyes, considering that he's not had
It
those kind
does.
of guys. Yeah.
It does. Plus, like I said, that '96 Kentucky team, I still think is one of the best teams of all time.
Yeah, that's a group. Maybe like I said, we go over some teams NCAA
Yeah,
tournament runs. That '96
sure,
Kentucky is a team that you've always brought up. So I
sure. And I hated them. Don't get me wrong. I rooted against them, but
oh, did you?
uh, I'm not a homer on this show. Like I'll tell you who I hate. I hated the fucking Celtics my whole life, but Larry Bird's a badass dude.
So these are apparently the top 10 NBA players that he coached, Uncle Dave. Jamal Mashburn's number one. Tony Delk is another guy.
Tony Delk was awful.
Antoine Walker.
Antoine Walker was good for a while.
Antoine Walker was a good NBA player. He won a championship with that 2006 Heat team.
Yep.
Ron Mercer.
Yeah, Ron Mercer was good.
Billy Donovan played in the NBA, did he?
Yes, he did for the Knicks. Very
Okay.
short time. Walter McCarty's better than Billy Donovan, though.
Well, this is just I'm not. This is obviously not in order. Derek Anderson, uh,
Derek Anderson was good.
yeah, Sean Woods, Russ Smith, Wayne Turner, and Francisco.
Russ Smith actually played.
Russ Smith.
I
Let's
didn't.
see.
I didn't realize Russ played.
Uh,
He had a couple of Louisville guards play. Didn't the kid that used to be on the Celtics and the Heat? He's on the Heat now. Oh, what the hell was his name? Oh, begins with an R. He got picked up. He was a Latino guy, but he never really panned out. What was his last name? Begins with an R. Oh my
Rozier,
God.
Harry Rozier.
Yeah, Rozier. Yeah, Rozier.
He got in trouble with that gambling thing, Uncle Dave.
Yeah, but he was a good player.
He was very good.
Yeah. Walter McCarty wasn't bad with the Knicks either. They just didn't give him a shot.
Yeah, like you
Yeah,
said,
so Rick,
a lot of it is just your luck of the draw with who you get and how they develop you and what they see for you as your role. Like you said, you only get
well,
3 years. When you get drafted, you have 3 years to prove yourself. If not, you're out of there.
yeah, and that's if you get a big contract. You could get like a less than a rookie deal. You
And
could get a
it might
2 year
be less
deal.
than a couple of years then at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be like 5 minutes.
It's incredible. Yeah, so we're definitely excited to see how these games play out. And we got, like as you said, speaking right now, the Thunder right now are up on the Grizzlies by 19 here with 10 minutes left in the first.
Wow.
So, yeah, we'll
Wow,
see.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, yeah.
The Grizz early sleeping.
Yes, yep. Like you said, it's interesting with these play-in teams. Is it fatigue, or do you have maybe a team where they have momentum going because they've played a couple of games and they have some piss and vinegar in them?
The age-old argument. I tell you what, Zach Edey looks like he belongs in the pros, though.
He does. He's a legitimate setter. He really is. He really
The
is.
only problem is when they played the Warriors, not a good game for him. Because then he gets stuck in transition.
Well, that's the problem. Him
Well, he
and
scores on the one end, but then anytime there's a loose ball, they're off to the races.
right, yeah. He'll never be an all-star. No question about that. I don't think he'll ever be a big-time player, but he'll definitely be a rotational player, I think, and he could
Sure,
start for some years.
sure.
You have a guy like Clint Capella who comes to mind, a guy like that. I think there's no reason he can't have a career like that.
Yeah, and looking at these early numbers here, it looks like Memphis is shooting like Stevie Wonder. 1 for 5 for Jackson, 1 for 4 for Pippen.
Yeah, that can happen.
And it's just not working out right now.
Well, John Moran, I think you have to your heart's in your throat if you're a Grizzlies fan. He's just so unpredictable, I think.
He's 2 for 8 right now.
We'll see what happens with him in the offseason.
He's another guy struggling. Yeah, Bain has actually showed up a little bit here. Uh,
But we have a
that
great
way, Zach.
slate of games here today, folks. We got the Magic and the Celtics, the Heat and the Cavaliers, and then, like you said, Uncle Dave, that Golden State Warriors series. Even though that Houston is the higher seed, the Warriors, I'm sure a lot of people will be picking them to win that series.
Yeah, well, that's funny. And that again is a testament to how poor the regular season has become because back in the day, I can never really remember a
Any
7 being
upsets,
favored over a 2.
right?
And that's because everybody knows that teams are jaking it during the season. And that's the way it is now. It's accepted. But again, yeah. When was the last time a 7 was favored to beat a 2?
Yeah, doesn't happen usually.
Doesn't work like that.
All right, folks. Happy Easter. All right, we're gonna sign off here. To all you basketball fans out there, live long and prosper, and may the force be with you.
Peace.